Hello everybody, this is Bradley from Politics UK. We are just 9 days away from the local elections and we have just had 3 bumper polls from YouGov as part of their MRP polling ahead of these council elections. And we're just going to quickly run through today. Fair warning for those of you who maybe aren't inclined, this is quite a positive one for reform. So we'll go through these 3 polls that have come out today. The first being the Hampshire County Council voting intentions. This came out actually in first instance in a Facebook post that I'll have the link in the description so you can go read this yourself. But yeah, first of all, coming out reform on 29%, up 29 points. Conservatives still actually hanging on quite well, around 21%. But again, given the area of the country this is and the absolute grip they've had on this region, if we're seeing any kind of Kemi bounce, like I've been saying, aside from her actual personal approval ratings, you would expect to see them probably just edging out reform here. Really for the Lib Dems, I think this is really, obviously for the Conservatives, this is incredibly concerning. But for the Lib Dems, I think, you know, they're kind of going under the radar at the moment as a potentially quite underperforming party. I think, yeah, I've definitely seen a lot more Lib Dem supporters on Twitter and activists calling out Ed Davey a little bit and actually, you know, trying to push for a little bit something extra from the party and actually capitalise on the wide slate of issues that we currently have. But yeah, not really positive for the Lib Dems that have not seen a lot of movement here. But yeah, obviously absolutely catastrophic for the Conservatives. Labour falling down into 5th place now, being overtaken by the Greens, down into single digits. So this will be the story of the night for them. Incredibly poor showing. Yeah, really tough read if you're, you know, Labour, Conservative, I think, in these, with a bit of cause for concern for the Lib Dems. Is this the first indicator we've got that, you know, maybe it's not going to be a fantastic night for them? I think we have to wait and see if the Conservative vote does hold this strong. I do think, much like the Conservatives in London are going to pick up quite a few council seats just because Labour have collapsed. I think you're going to see quite a bit similar with the Lib Dems here. It'll be really interesting to see where they're actually gaining vote share, if they are, and by how much, because, I mean, yeah, they're really stagnant in the polls. They kind of always are. So yeah, it'll be really interesting to see where this ends up. But moving on to our next one, we have the voting intention from Birmingham. So this is part of the YouGov MRP that just came out with Sky about an hour and a half, 2 hours ago, if I get this uploaded as I'm recording it, which I probably won't. It's very late at night. But this has Labour collapsing 30 points, down to 21%, which actually, quite funny, is exactly what we're seeing with the Conservatives in Hampshire. Reform, again, sort of main beneficiaries here, alongside the Green Party. Greens up 13%, up to 19, to sit in 3rd place. They'll pick up a lot of seats in Birmingham. Reform 21%, again, outskirts of Birmingham, they're going to pick up quite a lot. How many seats they pick up, I'm not sure. I think if they even wanted a chance of a majority on this council, they'd need to be leading by quite a few points. So I think that's probably out the picture. Independents sitting at 14%, up 13 is just, I mean, it's incredible. Conservatives down to 5th place from 2nd. Again, catastrophic. I think it's going to be, it's interesting. Whenever you get a good poll, we do see a lot of the Conservative sort of, I don't know, supporters out immediately saying Kemi bounce, reform collapsing. I just don't see how, as we come through May 8th, 9th and 10th, I just don't see how they can kind of keep that narrative going. Because again, over half your vote share gone. It's tough. It's very tough. Yeah, Labour equally down to 21%, but I feel like let's be brutally honest, I feel like at this point, Keir Starmer going in the next few months is a foregone conclusion, especially off the back of results like this. Especially, you know, this is within margin of error of them coming 3rd in Birmingham. The Labour Party coming 3rd in Birmingham is really on the cards here. If the Greens overperform, you know, we saw in the by-elections compared to polling in the last couple of days, people really decided to flip to the Greens, give the Green Party a chance. And equally Plaid Cymru in Caerphilly. So, you know, are we going to see a similar thing here? Well, actually, the Greens end up probably on about 25%, Labour down to 16, 17, just because a few last-minute sort of flips in how they're going to vote. Because a lot of people do not make, a solid 30-40% do not make their mind up on who they will be voting for until the last week of the campaigning period. And I'd be happy enough to say that probably over half of those don't even do that until the last day or two. So there's a lot of movement still could be happening here. We're seeing that in the Senate polling as well. 40 to 50% saying they're not set on who they're going to vote for. The most sort of motivated group at the moment are Reform voters. They're the most likely to say they will categorically vote for the party that they are currently saying they will, which is Reform. Conservatives are second in that, so maybe that Conservative vote is a little bit less malleable than Reform would want. But either way, I think that's still about 60% of Conservative voters were open to changing their mind with in the Senate. So again, we'll see if that's a similar picture here. Moving on to this last poll. Now, this set of results is less of a set of numbers and more of just the leading party by vote share. Again, this is part of the Sky post that went out recently with Sam Coates. I realise I've put Rugby and Dudley in here twice. Please ignore that. It's very late as I'm recording this. So let's go through this in order, shall we? We have Cannock Chase going Reform, along with Rugby, Warsaw, Dudley, Redditch, Solihull, Tamworth, Nuneaton and Bedworth, City of Wolverhampton, Newcastle under Lyme up there in the northwest. Now, we also have Birmingham and Coventry are just being edged by Labour at the moment. However, this could either be, this could be any of the three. This could either be Reform, Labour or the Greens. And this would be however it happens on the night, whichever voter base is most infused to turn out. Are we going to see the Green vote actually turn out in these local elections? How infused are they? It'll be really interesting to see that. Equally, how strong is that Labour vote? We're seeing a lot of talk that, especially in London, the black vote is holding up for Labour. So that's really encouraging sign to them, because I think it is something along the lines of half of the black British population is in London. So if that vote is holding up relatively well for them, that's really positive signs. However, in Gorton and Denton, they said their vote was holding up really well. So we'll have to see whether or not that comes to fruition. But that's where we sit at the moment. So yeah, if you want to stay ahead of the curve on all of this information ahead of the local elections in just 9 days' time, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We will be here way past the election as well, and we'll be doing some more deep dives into the wider polling scene as well as we build up to this bumper set of local elections. I'm really excited for it, just from a complete numbers nerd point of view. So until next time, guys, I'll see you later. Bye-bye.